Hey guys, it's been a while, but welcome back to X-Men Gamers. So, if you guys have followed this channel for a while, you probably know that I'm a big fan of the Valkyria Chronicles series made by Sega. Recently it had a bit of a revival because not too long ago, maybe 2 years back, they released Valkyria Chronicles Remastered for the PS4, which was a really great updated port of the PS3 classic Valkyria Chronicles with some added DLC content. After that, they had a spin-off release called Valkyria Revolution, which didn't fare too well with the critics. I haven't played myself personally because I felt like it strayed away a bit from what I felt Valkyria Chronicles was all about. Even though it had a really great composer and probably a lot of heart put into it, I regrettably had to skip on it. Now, that ignited a bit of hope in me that maybe Sega hadn't forgotten about the Valkyria Chronicles series. I was always a big fan of the first one. I love the third one. And at the darkest hour, Sega announced that they would make Valkyria Chronicles 4, which is what I have right here. Valkyria Chronicles 4 is probably, I'd say now, after I've beaten it, my favorite entry in the series, coupled with 3, I think. It depends on what day you ask me, I suppose. I feel like Valkyria Chronicles 4 did a lot of things right that improved upon the first game. If you guys have played the first game, you might feel like maybe it had a bit of slightly unpolished sides to it. I feel like Valkyria Chronicles 4 takes a lot of that and polishes it up and makes it much more well-rounded experience, coupled with a lot of things that they have learned throughout the series' life. They've added a lot of good aspects from Valkyria Chronicles 3, and probably, like I said, made this possibly the best entry in the series. Not to hype it up, but if you guys are at all interested in the series or have played the games, I'm sure you're already starving for a new release and you're already hyped as it is. I do feel like this game has gotten a lot further than the first game. I played the first game in anticipation of this game. The moment they announced that they would make Valkyria Chronicles 4, I decided I'd sit down and play through the first game again just to refresh my experience with it. And while I was really satisfied with my re-experience with that game, this game really took me by surprise. So let me just get into my personal history with Valkyria Chronicles 4 real quick. After Valkyria Chronicles 3, which got a fan translation in English, the series was dead for a while, like I said. I had a bit of hope inside me, was really happy to just be a fan, actually. I got all the art books. Enjoyed reading them, checking them out. I love designs, the mechanical designs in this game, and the armors and character designs are top-notch in my opinion. So I was always a big fan of the series from an art perspective, and I feel like it did a lot of things right. I really got attached to a lot of characters. So when they announced this and that they would show a trailer for the game, I got stoked. I was at work at the time, so I couldn't really watch it. It's that typical history where you had to wait to see it. But luckily enough, just as the trailer came out, I was on break. So I ran to my phone. My phone didn't work. The trailer wouldn't show on my iPhone. So I ran to one of the computers at work and asked if I could use it just to watch a trailer. Of course, it was a bit silly, maybe putting on an anime war trailer. But you know what? I got hyped. I got so stoked. People around me got really confused by how stoked I was. I was like, yeah, this is awesome. It's just what I wanted. Because when I first saw this game, it looked exactly like the return to form that the Valkyria Chronicles series needed after the PSP migration, which it did with 2 and 3. A lot of people weren't too excited about that. Personally, I did not have any bad opinions about it moving to PSP from PS3, but of course some people did, because the graphics, which were an amazing standout point about the series, got a bit of a nosedive. This game goes back to how beautiful the first games were, and even makes it even prettier. There's a lot of really cool presentation sides to this game, taking inspiration from Valkyria Chronicles 3. There's a lot of more CG images that displays what's going on during the story, so it's not just mugshots. There's a lot more animated 3D cutscenes. The story is bulkier, much bulkier. One chapter in this game is much longer than in any other Valkyria Chronicles, except 3 maybe, I guess. It's very well done, and the characters are handled so well, exceptionally well. The main characters, or at least the main pair, the pair, these two on the cover here, Riley and Claude, were a bit on the bland side, but because of how smart they were and the nice conversations they were having, they really stood out as people, much more so than just like some random characters, or like these really blown up anime character stereotypes. I thought they worked together really well, had great chemistry. The other main characters were Kai and Raz, excellent as well. Personally, I do like them better for many reasons, but I do feel like this cast came together very nicely. There's a lot of secondary and third tier main characters as well that do an excellent job on fleshing out the interactions between the cast members. And like I said, the story is a bit more fleshed out, so you get more cutscenes and you hear much more about the characters' opinions about certain events. It makes for a much better and more exciting story for me. There's more focus on the villains, there's more focus on the main characters. It just motivates you much more to see what the war is all about. I think Sega wanted to approach this game as a story about people growing up in the setting of war and how it changes you, and what kind of decisions you have to make, and how heavy that burden is to make. There's a lot of hardships in this game, much more so than most Valkyria Chronicle games, and you can really feel the desperation that the characters go through in this game, much more so than any other Valkyria Chronicles game, because the story doesn't make extremely long cuts between battles, so they basically follow up on what happens after the battle, the moment the battle ends and such, which they don't do too much in Valkyria Chronicles 1. It's an excellent story, and there's a lot more twists in this story than most Valkyria Chronicles games as well, and it takes you to places that you wouldn't expect as well. The game has a much more marine-like setting as well, which it's heavily promoted, so it's not really a spoiler, but they do. Most of the game takes place at sea, with, of course, there's a lot of land battles, but and you don't really fight in the sea, but you fight around it. So there's a lot of settings where you have harbors, and you battle it out on battleships and such. It's really refreshing after 3 games with the setting of Gallia. The scopes of this game are a lot bigger than the previous games as well. There's a much more bigger focus on the actual world, the political drama that goes on, not only in Gallia, which is the country of the first 3 games, or the setting for the first 3 games. You actually get to see the bigger side of the continent. You get to see the Federation and the Empire duking it out, and the kinds of things that both of the sides are up to, like all the scummy things they both are doing to succeed in this desperate time of war. In its core, though, it's all about how the characters stick together in this giant collapsing war, basically, and they're doing a great job with making you feel connected to characters as much as they are connected to each other. It's a very well-rounded cast that just binds the whole world together, and I just love their interactions. There's a lot of side story as well, which fills in even more of those, well, I shouldn't say empty parts, but in Valkyria Chronicles 1 there was a lot of basically dead time, I felt at least. I feel like this game has a lot of cool side stories that involve the main characters, as well as the units that you can recruit, the random units that normally you wouldn't care for, but in this game you care for them a lot, because you get these cool side stories that if you complete them you get a lot of bonuses for those. There's a lot of polish in this game, there's a lot of reward for everything you do. I feel like it's one of those games that doesn't cut any corners for once. It's a full-fledged RPG, and it acknowledges that it's gonna get hard at times, and it's gonna make you go through extra things to get more extra content. But like if you put up with it, you actually get a lot of reward from it, which is great. There's not many games that do that a lot more, I feel. Also, I feel like it's very customizable the way you can approach the tactics in this game. I feel like I'm fairly skilled at Valkyria Chronicles. In the end, I was trying to get all the S ranks on all the levels, and I felt like that was a challenge in itself, and I had to customize my own tactics to fit that kind of objective. And there's so many classes you can use, and so many orders you can combine with. Orders is basically buffing your characters or your units in order to make the perfect strategy for yourself. And I don't think anybody has to use a general tactic. I'm sure there's very useful tactics out there, like abusing your scouts, which is a common trait in all the Valkyria Chronicles games, which I'm gonna avoid doing in the Switch version. I did it in this game just to test the waters. I wanted to play the game and just have fun with the story. I used scouts and I buffed them a lot, and it worked perfectly. But I'm sure you can actually use a lot of shock troopers, lancers. You can use the new what would you call it, rocket launcher class. I'm sure you can mix up your own tactics and make it really viable. So I feel like this was one of those games where you're free to actually tackle it in your own pace as you'd like. So definitely, like, no matter what kind of skill level you are, you can customize it to easy mode if you want. Give it a try just to and make your own tactics. Have fun with it, I'd say, because you'll find your way to play through the game eventually. And like I said, I'm probably gonna switch my tactics up for the Switch version, which I'll eventually play. What more can I say about this game? I feel like they did an excellent job with all things in this game. Presentation, the music is amazing. It sounds definitely like the composer's regular style, but it has a lot more flair to it, and you can feel like, I'm not sure if it's passion or just a lot more money put into it, but definitely the music is great. The characters are fantastic. I think the designs and the effort they put into making several costumes for all the characters. I play a lot of the DLC. They made the DLC really varied from the main story. It has an objective that I would not see in the main story. There's so many types of objectives in this game. No matter what kind of game style you use, like I said, it's going to be exciting because the objectives change a lot. It's an excellent package. I highly recommend it. I know a lot of you fans are excited for this series, and I was so excited that I couldn't even wait for the import to arrive to my place. I had to download my first ever digital game on my PS4, which was this game, of course, with all the DLC. No loss there, even though this is nice packaging and has cool content in it. I got all the content on that digital download. I just wanted to play the game the moment it came out. I was so hyped for this game that I even had to stop Danganronpa V3 in the middle because I wanted to play this. And if you guys have played Danganronpa, especially V3, you know it's very hard to put down. Anyways, guys, just wanted to make a recommendation. If you guys want to play the first game, it's already out too, but I don't want to sound like a promotional video, so I'm just going to end it there. Until next time, get gaming.